Rockefeller, we have had another landing. What's up, my dudes? So don't forget, if any of you guys want to donate to me, link down below in the description. Not saying you have to or anything, but if you do and you leave a message, I'll read it off in a video at the start of the video. So yeah, just reminding you guys. And if you make it to the top 10 list, I'll put you on that as well. But yeah, dudes, either way, go follow me up on this stuff. Yeah. Will we ever get the 150, bro? I don't know. So, as you guys know, and if you don't know, MX Simulator has 50s, 125s, 250s, 350s, and 450s. That's what the game actually has. I know there's a lot of crazy different, like, technically, like, they're a, like, 500, and it's got a 500 sound to it, but it's not really a 500. You understand what I'm saying? Because it's on a 450 dyno in the game. Some people's probably made like 85 skins, but it's not technically an 85 because it goes on a 125 or a 50 skin, right? So there's all these things going on, but the only true actual bike dynos in the games are 50s, 125 two-strokes, 250 four-strokes, 250 two-strokes, 350 four-strokes, and then 450 four-strokes. Those are the only actual bikes in MX Simulator, and you have multiple different years of all those bikes. You have multiple different manufacturers of all those bikes, right? So my whole sort of confusion here is, why do we have a KTM 350 dyno on MX Simulator, but we don't have a KTM 150? This is where I'm really, like, I don't even know how JLV did this. I would have thought that the 350 would have came with a 150. You know what I'm saying? Like, it really doesn't actually make any sense to why we don't actually have a 150 in the game right now, when you think about it. But some people would call the RM 125 dyno a 150 because of how much more power it's got than all the other 125 dynos, but we don't technically have a 150 in the game. I don't know. I mean, I get it. It would kind of, like, eliminate all the other 125 dynos, but at the same time, that's already how it is with the RM 125. So it's like, you know, if you had, I guess in my mind, if you had a true KTM 150 in the game, you would just want it just a little bit more powerful than the RM 125 in the game, right? That's kind of the way I would do it. That would be so cool to still have that small bike two-stroke in the game, but just have a little bit more power to it. That would be so much fun to ride on in this game. Be kind of like if you had an 85 in the game, right? So it's not like the super slow 50, but it's still a small bike, but it's still got enough speed to hit some stuff. You know, that's kind of the problem with the 50 in the game right now. It's kind of the fun little small bike, but it's so fucking slow that you can't hardly even ride it. In the 125, you can ride the RM 125 in this game, but if you start getting on some of those other 125s, you almost can't even, like, get around most of these tracks. And I'm actually on the RM 125 dyno right now, just have the KTM skin on it, obviously, for video purposes, but yeah, I just think that would be a really cool thing to see. And it'd be one of those things, if there wasn't already a KTM 350 dyno in the game, I probably wouldn't even be saying this. You know, I wouldn't be making such a big deal out of this, but it's the fact that you already have a KTM 350. Why the hell do you not have a KTM 150? It's the same difference. It's a more powerful 250. That's what a 350 is. So, you know, 150 is just a more powerful 125. I mean, that's literally all it is. I just think it would be a fun little bike to test out and ride on, something a little bit faster than the RM 125. Just be a fun little bike to ride on, man. I mean, that's really all it comes down to. And, you know, if you wanted to still have the true 125 racing classes, then you would just not allow the 150 in there. And that's all there is to it, you know? That's all it really comes down to. But, yeah, I don't know. I just had to make this video. Still a little confused on this one, JLV, why we don't have a 150 in the game. Still a little confusing, and it's just mind-baffling to me that we don't have a true 500 in the game, but people has made 500 mods that literally almost feel exactly as if you had a 500 in the game. They have sounds to them. They're a little bit slower than the newer 450 dynos, so they kind of feel like a 500. I don't know. Like, there's basically 500s in this game without there actually even being 500s in this game. And the RM125 is basically a 150 without there even being 150s in this game. It's like, that's what I'm saying. There's just, it doesn't make any sense to not have those things in there at this point. Like the 500s, the 150s, the 85s. I just think those could be some really big, you know, improvements to the game and could bring a lot more people into the game just for the having fun side of it. Not that you're going to have like, you know, full-blown 500cc pro races or 85cc pro races, even though that would be badass and a half pro. It's just more of a for fun thing, you know. It kind of adds that just fun, mess around, play around, so much more video content you can make on that kind of stuff. It would just be so cool to me. Like, I feel like the 85 should be almost about the speed, maybe just a little bit slower than like the slowest 125 dyno with maximum acceleration gearing. That's about where I would think the 85 would be, but then have more of like the 50cc controlling and like moving around, be a little more nimble than the 125, you know? And then the 150 would be just a little bit more power than the RM 125, but still have the 125 handling and all that kind of stuff to it. You know, I mean, it's just like, it would, to me, it just doesn't seem that complicated to put that in this game. It really doesn't. And I understand there's only one guy that made the game and working on the game. Good old JLV. I love you, dog. But, you know, it's like, still, I really think these could be some massively beneficial things to put into a game like this. And I think it means a lot more on a simulator, you know, the motocross simulator. That's really what takes it to another level of importance, to have basically every kind of bike dyno in the game. I feel like on a simulator, people want to go in here and test out like what an 85 dyno would be like on this certain track or whatever, you know, or test out the difference between a real life 500 dyno from a 450 dyno, or test out a real life 150 dyno from just a standard 125 dyno. Because if you guys don't know, JLV bases his dynos around the real life bike dynos, so everything is based around that. So I just think that would add a lot more cool, like real life, you know, comparison elements to it, and a lot of cool testing stuff you could do with it. So yeah, just a quick little video I wanted to make on this. Really think it's time this game has these different bikes in here. I think it's, I would want the 85 and the 500 before the 150, obviously, because those are like really different bikes, but I still think the 150 needs to be in there too if you're going to have a 350. I mean, it just only makes sense, bro. It just only makes sense. So either way, I just think it'll be cool to have that. I don't know, man. I mean, yeah, it'll make it to where basically everybody's on a 150 in the random online servers instead of a 125, but still, they could be on a 450, you know? So it's like, yeah, it does kind of take a little bit away from the 125 side of it, but not really when you think about it. It just really doesn't. And like, as long as you don't make the 500 more powerful than like the 450 dynos, then that won't cause a problem there. You know, I mean, you can make it more powerful, but maybe like less rideable or something cool like that. Big cool way to do the 500. But still not, it still shouldn't have the torque and the grunt of some of those newer 450s in this game. You know, so, I mean, I think it is going to take a little bit of balancing to get all that right, but you still want to have your fast 450 dynos be the fastest bikes in the game. You know, you want the 85s to be faster than the 50s, but not faster than the slower 125 dynos. You want the 150 to be faster than the RM 125 dyno, but not like as fast as the 250 4-strokes. I mean, you can make it really close to that. That would be cool. Like really, really close. And you could have like the 150 2-stroke versus the 250 4-strokes. That would be sick, bro. But, you know, you want to make it different enough power to where it's not just like, oh, okay, now everybody's on a 150 instead of a 250 4-stroke. You want to have a balance there where they're kind of even in power in some kind of way or something close to that. Obviously, the 250 4-stroke still going to have more torque, all that kind of stuff, but it'd be cool to see how JLV would balance all that, and he's done a pretty solid job, honestly, as far as like how different the 125 is from the 250s and how different the 254 strokes are from the 252 strokes from the 450s. You know, it's all like in a grand scheme is balanced pretty well with the current bike dynos in the game. It really is. So I do have faith in JLV as far as getting all these other bikes in there balanced properly and everything. I think he could pull it off. It would just take a little bit of time, but I think he needs to make these bikes before he makes another slew of like newer 450 dynos and all that. He really needs to focus his time on making a 150, 500, and an 85 before he goes in there and makes like 2020, you know, 250s and 450s, or 2021 250s and 450s. He needs to focus on these bikes first, because this is really going to bring a lot more people into the game. It's going to add a lot more longevity to the game. We've wanted all these bikes in here since the beginning of time in this game, right? So I really think that would be more important than doing newer four-strokes in the game right now, currently. But either way, appreciate you guys watching all the videos. Later, dudes.